This month has been good eating for my mind, with words on a page. Perfection by Vincenzo Latronico, Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, and one more novella from Christmas Revels called The Holiday Fling. We've got a variety of experiences from mind-blowing read to less than engaging narrative. If you've been following along, you might be able to guess the latter. Let's get into it. Hi, hello, welcome in. I'm Jerica, and I'm an editor, writer, and all-around content creator, and of course, I love reading and talking about what I read. Particularly, I love to do this through the lens of an editor and writer, but I still allow myself to just enjoy reading too. March ends this quarter's theme of romance. So let's take a final look at my final romance reads. But first, a wildcard read with Perfection. You, I believe, already know that I had started this in February, but knew that I wouldn't be finished it by then, so it's part of this month's reading recap. This is the aforementioned mind-blowing read. It was really good. It's also very interesting from kind of like a structure point of view for a few different reasons. Now, because I'm so amazed by this book, I'm sure I will do a proper review, but I'm also not going to try to hold myself back talking about it like I often do when I know I'm going to do a review. Partially because the reviews are not coming out as quickly as they once did, because I have more other work to be doing, which is good. It just means making videos is a bit more on the back burner. But that's besides the point. Perfection. So good. Okay, so the like first thing that kind of comes to mind is this idea that it's like uncomfortably relatable. The story follows this couple who work as freelancers, mostly as kind of like graphic artists, graphic design, and like web design freelancers, which is something that I do as part of my many things that I do. So like it was relatable in that sense, but more so kind of their relationship with social media, finances, and kind of like status and image was where it became the kind of uncomfortably relatable, because I mean, we all know that social media has obvious pros and cons to it, and it kind of like bleeds into regular life with this idea of status and image. Not that status and image weren't a thing prior to social media, it's just kind of like easier and more, I mean, ubiquitous is the correct word. It's everywhere and constant, that you're seeing other people's image and not their authenticity, if that makes sense. And so that's like a huge part of the book, and the narrative. And kind of along with that comes this like doing the same thing over again and expecting something different. The other thing that's really interesting about it, I think, is the kind of like passage of time, and the couple that we're following kind of sees that they did things at like the right time compared to some people that they see kind of trying to do the same thing afterwards. And I think this is something that generations often go through, where either they recognize the hardship that other generations are having trying to do what they did in a different time, or they have the like, well, it was easy for me, why can't you just do it? And for them, it does feel a little bit more the former, like that they recognize that but then of course they also end up going through those same hardships because they're still living in the same world. They just have like ever so slightly an upper hand in some cases sometimes. I don't want to talk about too many specifics for spoilers. So I think the final thing I'll say about Perfection has to do with the structure of it. And this is really cool to me. So the POV changes not who we're looking. Oh, there's two things about POV that I want to talk about, actually. Please don't tell me my power is gonna go out. No, just the light bulb. It's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. What was I saying? Oh, the tense changes. Oh, how much is it affecting the video when it flashes? The tense changes, and this is a really interesting choice because it kind of talks past, present, and then most interestingly, the future at the end. It talks like where the couple's going, what is expected to happen. And I think this really leans into that theme of doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome, trying to fix something without actually changing anything. And then the other thing with POV is that while it's not exactly this, it does feel like they're treating the couple as like a single entity. They're so tied to each other. They don't really do a whole lot separate from each other. Like most often it's Anna and Tom did this. Anna and Tom felt this. I thought that was really interesting. I think that speaks a lot to their relationship. And it isn't to say that like they don't sometimes separate out different feelings for different people or different actions for different people, but it really does feel like they're a single character and they're treated that way, like with the writing. And I thought that was, oh, bless you. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was like a very smart decision. And I won't tell you the last line, even though it wouldn't make sense as to why it's such a good last line without reading the whole book. But the last line is a banger. So highly recommend. It's a really quick read. It's short, but like also like it's like an easy read while still being like very like mentally and intellectually engaging. Like it's not just like a fun read. It's like still a thinker while being... Iggy, are you okay? He had something like stuck in his mouth. Oh my god. What is this recording? Okay, I think that's it about Perfection. This was my first 5-star read of the year. I feel like that's an important thing to mention. So I just like highly recommend. So the next read is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This is my first Jane Austen read. I feel like it's a strange choice for a first read, but it's the one that I happened to have on my shelves. I believe it was gifted to me just because like I was in like a huge, like I have to read all of the classics, and so like any classics that people saw kind of like used, they would like pick up, and I appreciated it. I am trying to branch out more from that because I don't just enjoy classics. And honestly, I like, while I've been enjoying classics I've read recently, they definitely haven't been as entertaining or as fulfilling as I once felt them to be. I'll still keep reading them. I just won't be like classics focused, you know? This one was good though. It was different. This is probably like I feel like light is the wrong word, but it was like the lightest classic I've read in a really long time. It was an easy read. It was interesting to see, kind of like, I feel like the character is like, the main character is super relatable in like, for me specifically as somebody who, I mean, I guess maybe for everybody, but kind of like the getting used to being in society, not like society, the greater thing, but like society in the sense of like, you're coming out and, like you're on the dating market or whatever. It was interesting to kind of like see somebody that kind of feels like a fish out of water, while technically knowing a lot of the rules, but not having like the emotional intelligence to see a lot of the stuff that is the unwritten rules. The first little bit, I thought it was really interesting to see a classic kind of tackling like the I'm not like other girls, but she doesn't really like continue fulfilling that idea. She kind of like goes from not like other girls right to like fitting into society, which I think says a lot about like forcing women to fit in a slot. There is like one thing that kind of threw me off, and while I understand its purpose, it was just kind of like a strange deviation, and then we end up coming back. But kind of like the first couple nights that she is at Northanger Abbey. If you've read it, you'll understand. I don't want to get too spoilery about it, but that like first little bit that she's there, it feels like we like swapped genres a little bit. But interestingly, it was like jumping into a genre that they were talking about reading in the book. So that was kind of cool. Like a very interesting narrative / structure choice to make. The other thing about the writing itself that I want to mention is that I don't know if I'm a fan of the addressing the reader thing. I don't hate it, I just didn't love it. And my brain kept coming back to like Bridgerton because it was like, dear reader. And I mean, like, it was fine. Maybe if it did it more, I would have been more okay with it, but at the same time, then I feel like maybe it would have been overwhelming. It was strange to sometimes be like, I would tell you this, but I feel like you can guess. And it's like, no, just tell me. I don't know. It was interesting. I haven't decided if I liked it or not, which is weird. I do think it was like a fun read. I enjoyed reading it, but it's definitely not like, it wasn't a mind-blowing read like Perfection was. It was just like, I enjoyed this. I don't feel like I wasted my time reading it, kind of thing. I probably gave it a 3.5, maybe a 4. I'm not sure. I'd have to check, but I did like it. And then finally, we come back to the book that we continue to come back to, Christmas Revels, by Mary Jo Putney. I think it's time to retire this book now that I've read 3 of the novellas. How many are in here? Yeah, three of the 5 novellas. And still the first one was the best, and I didn't love it. But this time around, I read The Holiday Fling, which was the only contemporary romance in here. It's about, like, an older actress. She's like in her 30s. And this cameraman who had a fling before, right after she had been like, right after she had a heartbreak. That's kind of like the backstory of the story. And then she's trying to save her local community, like rec center basically, by putting on a play. But then she's like, that's not going to be enough money to save it. So she calls up her like camera guy, like not ex, but like past fling, I guess, really. And then like they like, you know, do the thing, and I feel like it's not a spoiler to say, you know, like they do it, they do the thing, they put on the play, they do all of the stuff, the thing gets saved, whatever. Because it's formulaic. There's like, you can't write that story in this style and it go poorly. But it just didn't do anything for me. Maybe it's because it was too formulaic, but like, I like Hallmark. But maybe I prefer it as a movie rather than as my reading material. And also, I just don't think the writing is great. So basically, like, nothing's great about them. And because I didn't love the last one that I read, maybe I was primed a little bit to not love this one. I think part of it is that it fell into the formula too much, and there wasn't enough like uniqueness. There wasn't enough, maybe, like emotionality. Like the emotions weren't hitting me hard enough. So I do think I'm gonna call this a DNF here. I don't really love saying that I'm like DNFing a collection, because like I don't really tend to read all of a collection, especially at one time, but I really don't think I'm coming back to this one. there's two more novellas in here. I just don't foresee myself wanting to read them. I think this might just go into my donate box, which we're done talking about that, but I have a question for you. This is definitely set up to go up on Instagram at some point. Maybe it's already up there. I can't remember. But I need to make room on my shelves, and I already have a donate box going, but I've bought more books, and I need to find room on my shelves for them. So I want to know, how do you decide what books to get rid of and what books to keep? Because there are books that, like, I know I'm keeping, but they're, like, I know that I'm sure I could get rid of other books without, like, being upset about them being gone, but, like, I can't decide on my criteria for what that is. So, like, there's sentimental books that, like, I will keep forever and ever. But then everything else, like, I'm like, I want to keep this because I read it and, like, I think it's a good book. Do I do it like that? Like, if it was a book that, like, didn't really make an impression on me, is that what I get rid of? I don't know. So I'm curious what your criteria is, because I need to make room. And kind of on that same vein, I'm always unhappy with the way that I've chosen to organize my books. There are some books that, like, they go up in every shelf I've ever had the exact same way, because there's only one way I can put them up there, in my opinion, and that is kind of like these, like, basically it's like larger series that, like, they're gonna go together. That's how it goes. But, like, not all books are series, and, like, part of me wants everything to, like, look aesthetic, but other parts of me want them to, like, make logical sense, and I don't know how to reconcile these things together. So I'm curious how you guys organize your bookshelves as well. Okay, that was my unplanned questioning, because I'm struggling with it, and I want people's opinions, or even just, like, what they do. But to kind of finish off what we came here to talk about, which is the March reading recap, overall, I think it was a good month. Even though, like, we kind of went from, like, mind-blowing read to, like, that was enjoyable to, like, on the novella, I still feel like it was a good month of reading. Probably because, oh my god, the cats have made my nose very itchy. Probably because, it started off with a mind-blowing read, and then the second read was entertaining. It wasn't like I went from, like, a great book to a terrible book, and I know that not all books can live up to my 5-star reads. And so, like, I just wasn't upset about the second read. And then I think because I went into the holiday fling as something that I kind of just assumed wouldn't be that great, I again just wasn't let down by it. I feel like it was a good reading month because I tempered my expectations, which is interesting. But with the end of March also comes the end of quarter one, which means a new TBR is out, which will cover April, May, and June. And you can catch that on the channel right now. As always, keep your eyes peeled for monthly recaps following that TBR video. In order to catch those, make it easier on yourself and hit the subscribe button and dingle the bell and that kind of stuff. You guys know what you're supposed to do if you want to keep up with that stuff, and I would really appreciate seeing some more subscribers sticking around. And if you've read these, particularly if you've picked this book up before and read, I'm curious, especially if you are kind of like a formulaic romance reader, is that what you expect as far as writing quality? It feels like a rude question to ask. And then, like, the other, especially, I guess I'm not especially interested in whether you enjoyed Northanger Abbey or not, but I know somebody, I think, said that it was their favorite Jane Austen, so if you're back, I did enjoy it. And it might be my favorite Jane Austen. It's the only one I've read. But I am also especially interested if you've read Perfection, just because I did think it was, like, such a good read. It's my first 5-star read of the year. So if anybody else out there has, particularly if you have an extreme opinion on it, like either you really loved it or you really hated it, I'd love to hear about it. I think I'm done asking you way too many questions. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun. I had a blast. Catch you next time. Bye! Oh yeah, I know, buddy. Okay, of course, while I was trying to check, it's not going to flash for me, so I don't know how much of an annoyance that's being. Heck. Recording again. Okay, buddy, hi. What, buddy?
I love how wet your nose is. I'm always worried about you being dehydrated because I never catch you drinking water. Yeah. I've been seeing you drink more water lately.